Yo, what's up, Gilf? I guess I'm back then, huh? Guess I'm back on Twitch at least. And I should be back on YouTube. Really wish I understood what was causing these frequent disconnections.
Hey, where the hell do you think you're going? Prim is off limits. Some convicts from the prison. What's more, we'd love to. We don't... You should...
Okay, I'm going to say I think I'm gonna try to put on my prison gang or powder gang, I guess, outfit when I walk back there and see if they're still hostile to me. God damn it, are you fucking kidding me? All night it's either fucking disconnecting from OBS or this goddamn game crashing.
Gilf Connoisseur said, are you using the NV anti-crash mod?
No, I'm not using any. I didn't know there was an anti-crash mod. I I'm just playing this I'm just playing this raw.
Gilf Connoisseur said maybe worth looking into if you plan to play a bunch.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it, I guess. Kind of silly that I need to need a mod to keep the game from crashing. Yo, Stoner Cat. I saw your chat pop up, but it didn't pop up on my Caster Labs. Welcome to the stream. Have you played Fallout 1 and 2? Honestly, those were the only Fallout games. I played those back in high school. And those were the only Fallout games I played up until Fallout 4, like when the season 1 of the TV show happened. But prior to that, the only Fallout I ever played was 1 and 2.
At ST0 Nurcat said cool.
ST0 Nurcat. I get what your screen name is. Caster Labs doesn't, but I get it.
At ST0 Nurcat said those are my fave.
Those are classics. Those are like old school PC RPGs.
At KiteF7G said I want to get into Fallout 4, but I just can't.
I didn't like it that much. Really? I'm going to try one more time. We'll try one more time.
At ST0 Nurcat said, is your game crashing?
Yes, it's crashing like... It seems like maybe it's because I'm wearing the faction armor walking into this area. Maybe something about that's crashing, because I was able to walk into it once before when I was dressed normal. But so far, the past two crashes...
said every time I try and play this game I enter 5 buildings and game crashes.
Jesus, that's fucking awful. How did this game get away with being considered a classic if it crashes that frequently? Is it just because it's an older game on newer software, newer hardware? Did it crash like this when it was launched?
Said it was worse at launch.
It was worse at launch? How is that even possible? Like, you're talking worse than fucking Cyberpunk 2077 levels of fucking dysfunction. If it was worse than this at launch. That's crazy. How did this ever become a classic? I could barely play it. All right, first I'm going to walk in there dressed normal. And then I'm going to throw on my shit. Oh, I felt it stutter. I can already feel it wanting to crash. It wants to. Wants to crash real bad. It's like, go ahead, throw on that gear. Throw on that gear. Let me shut this bitch down again.
At KiteF7G said imagine if GTA 6 is like that at launch, lol.
I mean, that would just... Considering that game's gonna cost like fucking $100, if not more, that would be unacceptable. Now put your gun away. You haven't been found out yet. Hey, look, it's that guy. Is he gonna get aggro? Why are they getting aggro? I'm one of you. Oh, these guys are fully armored.
At Genetic Memory Farm said, how long has this been going?
Oh
I
shit,
just
what the
got the
fuck?
notice now. Good evening, good peeps. I hope you are all safe and stoned.
Yo, what's up, Jeanette? Oh, his head's exposed. Really? He's just gonna shake that off? Give me that head. Give me that sweet dome. Oh, Jesus. Jackass. I think this guy's shit too. $100 NCR, hell yeah. Yo, what's up, Genetic Movie Farms? Welcome back to the stream. I started this a while ago, but it keep up like my OBS has like crapped out on me twice, so you may have missed the notifications on the first couple attempts, but I guess you got this newest one. If it kills out on me again, I'm just gonna not log back on. It'll just be the end of the stream if it kills out on me again. Clearly, dressing as a Powder Gang member didn't help me out any. So, mercenary it is. Oh my god, you've got to be fucking... All right, that was Fallout New Vegas. What can you say? Seems like it could be a neat game. Can't wait till they finish developing it.
At ST0 Nurkat said, oof.
I wonder if wonder where my crash logs are kept. I'm very curious about how many times I crashed tonight.
Gilf Connoisseur said, reading the anti-crash mod, it implements structured exception handling. Whitey, is that not in the game already?
I don't know. I'm gonna find out. Oh my god.
At KiteF7G said, at this rate, might as well play Fallout New Vegas on my No Man's Sky World LMAO.
Seriously. This thing in. Nope. Oh well. I was curious about how many times I crashed tonight. Probably, I would guess I crashed probably about seven or eight times. Oh boy. That's the kind of thing that makes me not want to try to play it anymore. I should have installed Panzer Dragoon. Oh well, I guess I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'll hang out. I don't have to work tomorrow, so I'll hang out for a little bit tonight. I'm gonna go use the bathroom first. I'll be back in a second. All right, I am back. Who's still with me here? Who's still with me? Oh, where's my... Oh, here it is.
At Kite F7G said I am.
I'll tell you what, Kite. This hasn't been a great day for me. It's not a great day. It's gonna be that way for a while, it seems. So, doing everything I can to keep myself in good spirits, and I'm glad that you're here in the chat with me because that keeps me in good spirits too. Oh man, I should watch. I should react to something while I'm still on and just hanging out. What do I got on deck? Let's watch. You know what? Let's watch something that I know will uplift me. Know will cheer me up. And that is a video about... Japan's maglev. Let's see what the recent developments on that is.
Speed rail back in 1964, Japan has been ahead of the pack. Ever since opening the world's first true high-speed rail back in 1964, Japan has been ahead of the pack when it comes to innovative transportation and blistering speed. Now, more than half a century later, it's poised to stun the world all over again. The historic Tokaido Shinkansen, the very line which first introduced us to the term bullet train, is undergoing a major expansion. The expansion will initially run from Tokyo to Nagoya, then later on all the way from Tokyo to Osaka, and it will cover the roughly 500-kilometer distance in less than half the time of the original high-speed train, making Japan once again the home of the world's fastest commercial train. In this episode of Looking For, we'll be taking an in-depth look at this groundbreaking development.
You know, the Shinkansen was already awesome to ride on.
Technology that allows the train to move so fast, so reliably. We'll gather the available evidence to see what this new rail line will look like in practice and how it will impact Japanese society. And we'll even try to take a step aboard and get a sense of what it will be like to travel 500 kilometers per hour on a cozy passenger train. Welcome, friends, to Chuo Shinkansen.
All of that makes me really depressed.
Although it represents the cutting edge of transportation technology today, the Chuo Shinkansen project has been in the works since the early 1970s. After the success of the initial 1964 line, Japan began looking at what were then called next-generation transport methods. This led to the development of a technology that sounds like something from a comic book: superconducting magnetic levitation. While other countries were also working on similar projects at the time, most notably West Germany and the US, Japan was the first to put the technology into a physical train.
The
and
US?
began conducting tests. In 1979,
Did we just stop?
Japan's ML500 train hit a staggering 517 kilometers per hour on the Miyazaki test track, by far the world record at the time. The reason for Japan's dominance during this period came down to the fact that its trains weren't just magnetic, they were also superconducting. In simple terms, this means that while everyone else was just using room temperature magnets, Japan was using cooled
At
magnets.
Kite of
cooled to
7G said
negative
one day I would love to
269
wake up
degrees
and say
Celsius,
I
to
want
be
some
precise.
McDonald's from Houston and take a bullet train across the state and be back home within 3 hours lol.
That is my goal.
Kite
That's
F7G said state.
that's what I want too. That's what I want too. Like I didn't know that you were in Texas also, but like my dream is to just be able to get on a train and just go to Dallas or Houston or San Antonio on like a quick day trip. There's no reason why that can't exist. You know, like I'll tell you straight up. So a part of like, you know, not a part, the reason why I'm so bummed out today is because I was basically told by my boss that you know, my position, I'm not long for my position. So I don't know when that shoe will drop, but at some point I'm going to be looking for work again. And I've already started. But like if there was a way for me to get on board with like any kind of advocacy group or anything like that for uh getting high-speed rail in Texas, I don't know what groups like that might exist. I would totally I would be on board with that. I'd want to do that. Like I think about it every day, honestly. Like, man, how awesome would it be to just get on a high-speed train and be in Houston or Dallas in an hour and a half or so. I mean, Texas isn't lacking for the land for building out rail, but that's not the problem.
Thanks to a phenomenon discovered in the 1930s called the Meissner effect, this careful supercooling, achieved with the use of liquid helium, induces currents in coils along the guideway that create repulsive lift and lateral stability. This allows the train to eventually float a full 10 centimeters above the track at speed, much higher than what can be achieved with regular electromagnetic
At Kite
suspension.
F7G said
This
damn I'm
increased
sorry to hear.
levitation isn't
Eve been having issues at work too. We are in this together.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. But yeah, I mean, and this is not the best climate to be job hunting in, clearly. It is what it is. You do what you can. You do what you gotta. I started my 2025 in a similar boat, and I'm gonna end my 2025, I guess, in a similar boat. This is a cursed year. This is the most cursed of cursed years.
only amazing. It also enables the train to travel even faster. But in the beginning, this hyper-futuristic technology was confined strictly to the laboratory. Even still, Japan emerged in the mid-20th century as the world's leader in high-speed electric train travel. The Tokaido Shinkansen, which translates to New Main Line East Coast Route, debuted in 1964 and carried passengers at 210 kilometers per hour.
I have to translate. I'm a dumb American. I have to translate the kilometers per hour to miles per hour. Okay, that's 130 miles an hour. You know, I feel like there's a new Amtrak line on the East Coast that
At
travels.
Kite F7G said then add on I got a jury duty letter in the mail lol.
Oh, that sucks. Damn. I feel like there's an Amtrak train on the East Coast that goes faster than that, but it can't technically. It could technically go faster, but it can't hit that speed because the rails are. You have to have a long straight line basically in order to get that fast, and the rails on that line are always curving, so it never really goes beyond, I think, 40 miles an hour, which kind of defeats the purpose of a high-speed rail.
Many of these passengers were still discovering the Beatles for the first time and driving cars that maxed out at 120 or 130. So, needless to say, this was considered extremely fast at the time. But, as I mentioned earlier, Japan was clearly not content to rest on its laurels. Researchers continued to work on increasing train speeds even as the rest of the world was marveling at the Tokaido Shinkansen. Over the next several decades, Shinkansen trains accelerated further and further, eventually reaching peak speeds of 320 kilometers an hour.
That's more like it.
But surprisingly, this is
That's
not
like
only
that's
the
like 200
world's
miles an hour,
fastest commercial
basically.
railway.
198 miles an
Today,
hour.
several trains in China well exceed any in Japan, most notably the CR450, designed to run as fast as 400 kilometers an hour. Japan is now also tied for second place.
That's 248 miles an hour.
Whose TGV line reached 320 kph not long after Shinkansen first did. Cutting-edge high-speed rail is a point of strong national pride for the Japanese. Magnetic levitation, or maglev for short.
I would love to go to China and ride their high-speed rail too. Like, they have a very elaborate high-speed rail. Look, I don't think people realize how big China is as a landmass. Like, even with their high-speed rail traveling as fast as it does, you can still get on a high-speed line in one city, and it'll take you 6 hours to get to the next. China is massive. It was a necessity to connect all their cities, and America is much the same. If we had a high-speed rail at that speed, it would take just as long to travel from like the East Coast to the West Coast, but then our airline industry would get real mad about that.
Was simultaneously
And it would be faster at a plane anyways.
Throughout the 20th century, and today is used in various rail lines across Asia and some parts of Europe. What separates Japan is its unique, decades-long focus on superconducting maglev, or SC maglev for short. As described earlier, this supercooling technique relying on the Meissner effect has been the brainchild of multiple generations of Japanese engineers. It's undergone numerous tests throughout the years, often setting records in the process, although the technology has never been implemented in a commercial train. After the record-breaking speed of 517 kilometers an hour set back in 1979, Japan dove into a long period of research and development, focusing on key factors like superconducting coil design, cryogenic cooling systems, and aerodynamics. Finally, in 1997, a prototype train called the MLX-01 achieved 531 kilometers per hour on the Yamanashi maglev test line. Less than 2 years later, that same prototype reached 552 kph. Then in December 2003, the MLX-01 hit 581, setting the world record for all trains. And most recently, in April 2015, the successor of the MLX-01, called the L0, reached 590. Then just a week later, 603. Now
Jeez,
over a
603,
decade since,
603.
this record still stands. And it's worth mentioning
374 miles an hour.
Meaning 49 engineers went for the ride of their lives. To put it into perspective, 600 kilometers an hour is roughly half the speed of sound. The siren on an ambulance driving in the opposite direction would theoretically dip 2 full octaves as it passed by. But in reality, it would pass by far too quickly to even make out. In fact, nothing anywhere near the tracks could be seen clearly from out the windows. Only buildings more than 100 meters away would even be recognizable. Even large structures or mountains a full kilometer in the distance would appear and pass by within the span of just 12 seconds. If sustained, The speed Japanese train engineers were traveling would get them from
At
London
Kite
to Paris in
F7G
just
asks,
45
did you ride one
minutes,
of those in Japan?
covering the length of 2 Boeing 747s every second. But for
The Shinkansen? I mean, the maglev isn't in service. They're still developing it, but are you asking if I rode the Shinkansen? Why is everything loading really fucking slow? I'm annoyed by it.
At Kite F7G said yeah, the high-speed ones lol.
I'm trying to answer your question in the snarkiest way possible, but my browser is getting in the way. But Airbnb. Is it? I'll be back on my way. Today is the day, Kyoto Day, which also means Shinkansen Day.
All right, so after a whole lot of walking and heat and sweating my ass off, it's finally happening. I am on the Shinkansen.
I miss it every day.
I'm pretty excited about this one. I've been watching videos on bullet trains for a while, mostly the Bright Line. I've been looking at what America has been attempting to do, and I've been envious. I've been envious of the Bright Line in Miami. I've been envious of the one they're building out in LA to Vegas. And I know that Amtrak wants to put a high-speed rail in between Dallas and Houston.
That one's been canceled, ish.
This is my first time on a high-speed rail, so right now
The Amtrak high-speed rail from Dallas to Houston has been canceled-ish.
Tokyo, but we'll see how this thing goes once it actually kicks up into speed.
That thing, I guess you can kind of get a sense of how fast it's going, but yeah, that thing fucking hauls. It hauls. I've never been so jealous of anything more in my life. Look, getting from Tokyo to Kyoto by car takes almost 6 hours, but on the Shinkansen, it's 2 hours. In fact, it actually took us slightly less than 2 hours to get there, which is incredible. The distance
Kite
between
F7G
Tokyo and Kyoto
asks,
is
"Did you
similar
feel
to the
that high
distance between
speed?"
Austin and Oklahoma City, where my brother and his family live. The 6-hour drive is always an issue. In fact, I'm kind of a bad uncle because I never drive up there to visit them. I just can't do long car trips anymore. It's a real problem. And I don't even like driving to Fort Worth to see my sister. But if we had a Shinkansen, I'd be making that trip all the time. Why can't we have nice things in America? Again, beautiful scenery courtesy of rural Japan. When we arrive... So yes, to answer the question, I have ridden the Shinkansen, and man, do I miss it every single day. Did you feel that high speed? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You feel it too. Like it's not like it's not uncomfortable. It's not like the G's throw you
The
back into
genetic
your
memory farm said because capitalism.
pretty much. That's pretty much the explicit reason. Uh, it's not like the G's will throw you back into your seat, but you do definitely feel the sense of speed. And it's not uncomfortable. Like I was actually surprised. Like for somebody, you would think that somebody 6'5" traveling in Japan, I wouldn't have a lot of leg room, but I actually ended up having more leg room on those trains, both the high speed rail and just like the normal rail that I took from Narita Airport to Tokyo. I had more leg room on those than I have in most American transit vehicles, buses,
At
planes.
Kite F7G said I think I would freak out lol. I have anxiety when I'm not the one driving.
That's the thing that you got to give up, man. Like it's nice to not have to worry about driving. That's the other thing is I'm sick of driving, honestly. I used to love driving. I used to be a car guy. I'm still kind of a car person. But like being able to just relax, to just lie back in your lean back in your chair, chill, take a nap if you want, watch videos on YouTube if you want, read, grab a snack, just enjoy the trip. Like the ability to do that is amazing, especially if it's not taking you like 7 hours. Like it really is super underrated. Like just the ability to all right, well, I guess I'll be there in about an hour and a half. I'm gonna watch an episode of Fallout or whatever on Prime on my phone, or I'm gonna read the rest. I'm gonna catch up on the One Piece manga. I'm gonna, this having that ability and not having to sit there. I need to be alert and awake for not an hour, but for a 3 hour drive. If I'm going from here to Dallas, I've got to be alert and awake and constantly aware and on point for 3 hours nonstop with crazy ass drivers all around me and an endless sea of construction and stopping off at gas stations and suspect towns, like all of that shit sucks. And then spending the money on gas too, like all of that sucks, man. All of that really sucks. Like I wouldn't want to completely give up having a car, but because I do also have that same feeling of American independence. Like owning this is how they sell car culture on people, right? They're like owning a car means that you're never tied down anywhere. You can just get in it and go wherever you want to go, whenever you want to go, and nobody can tell you no or etc. When you get on a train, you can only go to where the train takes you, and only at the times that the train runs. And that's how they trash public transit and sell car centric infrastructure here in America. But the thing they don't tell you is one, it's expensive to buy a car. You're paying at this point nowadays, you're paying hundreds of dollars or like almost $1,000 in some cases, but like five, six, $700 a month just for the loan. And that doesn't count, that doesn't include however much you got to pay to carry insurance. And you can't get cheapo insurance because the car's not yours. The car belongs to the bank, and the bank requires you to have it fully covered, which is going to be very expensive. So on top of your expensive monthly car note, you've got a very expensive monthly insurance bill to pay. And then you got maintenance, any kind of your garden variety maintenance. Oil changes cost damn near $100 now. I remember back when oil changes used to cost like $20. But you got that kind of maintenance. If your battery's dead, get a new battery. Some stuff can be covered under warranty, but they're worming their way out of more and more of that. But then even on top of that, like, you got to pay for gas. Gas is expensive, and especially if you got to drive it a lot. Like all of those, and then on top of all of that, you just got to be aware. You're going to be sitting in traffic all the time. If you commute to and from work, depending on where you're at, That can be pretty brutal. You know, an hour commute to work, an hour commute home. You end up with no energy to do anything. Like you try to be healthy, but it's like, damn, I really don't want to cook. I'm tired. You can't quite figure out why you're tired, but you're tired because you're spending all your damn time in a car. You know, and you're not relaxing. You're not relaxing in the
At
car.
Kite F7G said, no, I'm depressed with this now face with
Like
tears of joy emoji.
you can't relax in the car. Like you've got to be on alert. You have to constantly be fucking aware of everything. You know what happened to me yesterday? I was driving home down 71 on Austin, and it was a U-Haul or Penske truck or something like that. I'm in the farthest right lane because I just got off of an overpass thing, and this Penske truck didn't see me and just starts merging right next to me. And at first I see him and I honk my horn, but they didn't respond. They just kept merging, and I kept honking my horn and they kept merging, and they ended up running me off the road. Now I'm very lucky that there happened to be enough of a shoulder at that stretch of the highway that I just went off the road or went off the lane into the shoulder and then sped up and got around him, and that pissed me off. But if I was at a part of the highway where there was like one of those concrete barriers and no shoulder, or if it was like the hill up that approaches an overpass, I would have been either smashed against the concrete barrier because those guys were not hearing me honk, or I would have just been flat out run off into the off over a hill. That's the kind of shit you constantly have to keep aware of. And then if some shit like that happens, then your fucking blood pressure spikes, your heart rate spikes, your anxiety spikes, and you're extra on guard for anybody that also might not be paying attention to what they're doing on the road. You got to deal with that shit constantly on top of all those fucking costs. Like, is it any wonder that people are increasingly miserable in this country? Like, it's shitty. It's a shitty way to have to fucking live. So, yeah. I understand the whole idea behind, well, you can just get in your car and go wherever you want, etc., etc. Maybe that's great in low population rural places. I guess it's kind of a necessity there. But anywhere else, I'd much rather just chill. I'd much rather just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna take a nap and I'll wake up when I get to my stop. And I know I'll set an alarm. It takes me 30 minutes to get from here to there, 45 minutes. I'll just set an alarm. It'll go off in my earphone while I'm napping. Or I'm gonna hop on my laptop and do some work, or I'm gonna do this or that. That's way better. Infinitely better. Or I'm just gonna go visit my sister for the weekend. That's gonna be great. I could do that on any given weekend. I don't have to plan a Hobbit-like journey 3 hours north. And I'm glad you're depressed with this now. More people in America need to be depressed by this. Like we need movements away from our awful car culture. It's wretched. I hate it. And I say this as somebody that is a car guy.
Frustratingly, this incredibly speedy technology has still
Look, that guy's napping right there.
Any real train.
How awesome is that?
Prototypes under test conditions. But that is all about to change.
Why was there all that weird artifacting?
The Central Japan Railway Company first announced its intention to raise funding for Chuo Shinkansen, the world's first superconducting maglev railway, all the way back in December 2007. JR Central projected the total cost to be 5.1 trillion yen. In today's US dollars, about 45 to 50 billion. The company also declared it would not be relying on government financing for the project. Then, in 2011, JR Central adjusted their estimate to 9 trillion yen, the equivalent of roughly 85 billion US dollars in today's money. There are several reasons why the project was expected to be so expensive. One reason was the extraordinary amount of new tunnels that would have to be constructed. Chuo Shinkansen would require far more tunnels than any previous Japanese rail project. A full 86% of the 285-kilometer journey from Tokyo to Nagoya would take place inside tunnels, with some tunnels in alpine regions stretching as long as 25 kilometers. Even when the additional track leading to Osaka is added, the full Chuo Shinkansen line will still be 80% tunnel. In other words,
So the reason why they have to bore all these tunnels is because maglevs can't really take advantage of their speed if they have to twist and turn. They're not really good at that. So Japan, being a very mountainous and hilly terrain, in order to maximize the speed of the maglev, instead of creating tracks that kind of wind and twist around mountains and hills, they're just boring right through it and building that straight line wherever they can, at least. So that's why they have to bore through all those mountains. And yeah, boring through mountains is pretty expensive.
not visible at all to the surface. There are quite a few reasons why these extensive tunnels are necessary. One, which actually seems rather obvious once you think about it, is that the railway line has to be relatively straight.
Exactly.
To be precise, the minimum curve radius, in other words, the tightest possible turn allowed on the track, will be 8,000 meters, among the widest to ever be used on a commercial railway. The trains simply can't wind through dense urban landscape or curve around mountains. It has to blast straight through them. That means in most cases, it will have to pass stealthily underneath. Sending the 500km/h bullet train underground also protects it from weather, offers better earthquake resilience, and, believe it or not, ends up being more affordable when you stack it up against what it would cost to acquire land in the densely populated region where the train is set to run. Yet another, more surprising reason for putting the train underground is the noise. And despite what you might at first think, this doesn't refer to engine noise. The L0 series trains are 100% electric. They essentially fly along magnets with minimal friction, so even the rails
Is it the noise of the train breaking the sound barrier?
Riding on the train will be as stable and as silent as driving on the highway in a Tesla. However, if you're standing outside the train when it goes by, it's a very different story. The full train would conceivably weigh something like 300 metric tons. When it plows through the air at 500 kilometers an hour, the pressure waves are enormous. In fact, tests have revealed the pressure blasts are loud enough to potentially cause hearing damage, not to mention being extremely startling for pedestrians. Standing near the tracks as the train ripped by, you'd feel a slap of air ruffling your clothes, and it would sound like a low-flying jet, perhaps 95 to 100 decibels.
Damn.
One journalist who participated in an early test ride in 2013 wrote a simple headline: "Maglev train offers smooth ride inside, deafening noise outside." JR Central has spent years assessing the noise factor. The company claims, quite plausibly, that the L0 trains are quieter than their predecessors. But nevertheless, the trains will have to hit their max speeds underground, far away from earshot. The original construction timeline was set in 2013, with plans to complete the initial Tokyo to Nagoya section by 2027. Even at this early stage, the additional Osaka section wasn't expected to be finished until 2045. However, in 2016, the Shinzo Abe government offered about 3 trillion yen in long-term, ultra-low interest loans. The deal seemingly caused JR Central to quickly reconsider its initial vow to not use government financing. It also allowed the Osaka completion date to be moved from 2045 to 2037. In 2015, work began. Specifically, tunneling began. First, a 7-kilometer tunnel spanning the Yamanashi and Shizuoka prefectures, and then in December, one of the 25-kilometer megatunnels, which will be Japan's deepest tunnel at 1,300 meters below ground. The following year, construction was started on a maglev station in the special ward of Shinagawa in Tokyo. In 2021, the project had its first
collapsed.
fatal accident when a rock collapse struck 2 male workers who were inspecting bedrock during the construction of a tunnel in Nagasagawa City. One of the workers was killed, while the other survived with a broken leg. This unwelcome news came in the ongoing midst of another controversy, one that has now plagued the project for years. This is the issue of the Shizuoka prefecture, which opposes the tunnel which is set to run through the southern Alps. The tunnel is designed to have an 8.9-kilometer Shizuoka section, but the prefecture has continually refused to grant permission for it. The ostensible concern is water flow. The The tunnel cuts through the Oi River watershed, and some are concerned the tunnel
At
will
Kite
divert water
F7G said
from the
this
river's
is something I
natural
wouldn't
flow,
be mad having my
potentially
tax dollars
disrupting
spent on.
agriculture, industry.
Well, I guess it makes sense though, because their concern is how it affects their water table, I suppose. So I understand that. I understand that if that is like a legitimate concern. But generally speaking, I'm on your side. Yeah, I don't care about using tax. In fact, I want my tax dollars to go for stuff like that. But I do want to take into account some of the more environmentally sensitive aspects of this.
And even municipal water supply. In April 2020, culture the tunnel will die. The prefecture has continually refused to grant permission for it. The ostensible concern is water flow. The tunnel cuts through the Oi River watershed, and some are concerned the tunnel will divert water from the river's natural flow, potentially disrupting agriculture, industry, and even municipal water supply. In April 2020, an expert panel was assembled to take a look at the potential environmental implications of the tunnel. They concluded the impact of the river's underground basins would be small, but the report was subsequently criticized by the Shizuoka government as, quote, insufficient and hasty. This more or less gives you an idea of the nature of the ongoing dispute. With no resolution in sight, JR Central
Gamer
is
James
yet
said,
to
is
make
Christian
any official
conservative
alterations
ideology
to the
just
master
pure
schedule,
Satanism at this
but have
point?
acknowledged that the delays
They
in
don't
Shizuoka
have a single viewpoint that Jesus would have approved of.
What? First time chat from Gamer James. Welcome to the stream. How you doing tonight? That is a very random and incredibly loaded question. Is Christian conservative ideology just pure Satanism at this point? They don't have a single viewpoint that Jesus would have approved of. I don't know if it's Satanism, but it certainly isn't what Jesus would have approved of. I agree with that much. No, I think what gets passed as Christian conservatism very often is just grift. It's not. I guess it depends on what your definition of Satanism is, but for me, it's obviously just a cover for looting the treasury. Everything is a guise to loot the public treasury, and to me, that's a lot of that is. That's what a lot of the mega church shit is. A lot of the getting away with not paying taxes, but then also at the same time funneling all the money that you get and all the influence that you get to support the types of politicians that cut taxes and give you rebates and subsidize your industries that you happen to be invested in and cut banking regulations and trading regulations and all the other stuff that'll just make you filthy rich, and you can support it under the guise of Christianity, and these people are good family people, etc., etc. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all the same thing. It's just getting as much money, looting the treasury as much as humanly possible, and being able to put yourself in a position of being a new feudal lord in our new feudal era. So that's my take, at least.
Shizuoka pose a serious threat to the current 2027 completion date of the Tokyo-Nagoya section. Such challenges are perhaps to be expected during construction. But what about the
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Hope you're having a good night.
Shinkansen will service, anxiously awaiting the opportunity to travel on the world's fastest train. Examined in closer detail, the completed railway will feature 9 total stations. Travelers boarding Chuo Shinkansen at the Shinagawa station in Tokyo, either from within the city or from a connecting train, will encounter 4 stops before reaching Nagoya. But even so, the journey will take less than 1 hour. Normally, even on the original high-speed Tokaido Shinkansen, this is
just
a nearly
holding the
1 hour
lines on
30
Hell
minutes
Divers
trip.
at the moment.
Given
Hell
that
yeah,
so
brother.
much of the
Hold the
journey will
line.
take place in long underground tunnels, the ride might feel almost like teleport.
Does Helldivers have an event going on right now or something? Or are you just playing to play?
And it will really feel like teleporting if you book the express service, which blasts right past the 4 intermediary stations and goes from Tokyo full speed straight to Nagoya. This journey, A journey of perhaps 270 kilometers will be over in just 40 minutes.
That's
Those
crazy.
who have experienced test rides have described the onboard sensation as similar to that of an airplane at cruising altitude. Given that the train is technically 10 centimeters above the base of the rails, this makes sense. Within 3 minutes of departing the station on the express line, the train will have gradually and gently accelerated all the way to 500 kilometers per hour. The relatively low volume inside the cabin will allow for easy conversation. Cabin pressure will automatically adjust upon tunnel entry to maintain the
At
tranquility
Genetic
of the
Memory
onboard
Farm said
environment
if you need a
and
little
prevent
Christmas pick
unwanted
me up
effects.
and a good reaction video, look up TV Funhouse Christmas episode S01E03. It is on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, I'll watch that off stream. I can't watch that on stream. I'll definitely get clapped for that one. But I haven't thought about TV Funhouse in a long time.
Like popping ears. JR Central has released only partial mock-ups, but the interiors of the test trains give an impression of what the
At
cabins
Kite
will look
F7G
like.
said just playing first
Reclining
night off
seats
in
will be
6
arranged
days,
2
so
by 2,
catching up LOL.
similar to an airplane
Nice.
economy, but wider and with more legroom. Windows will be rectangular to an airplane cabins will look like. Reclining seats will be arranged 2 by 2, similar to an airplane economy, but wider and with more legroom.
Why can't planes have more leg room? That's the only thing I really want, is for a plane to have more leg room. Like, how come little tiny Japanese guys get the leg room that a 6'5" American needs, but a 6'5" American can't get this leg room anywhere here? That's why everybody's buying big ass SUVs now, I guess.
Windows will be rectangular and elongated, prioritizing lighting and interior ambience. After all, the world outside will be a mostly unrecognizable blur anyway.
At
JR
Genetic
Central
Memory
has
Farm
even
said because
experimented with testing
capitalism.
OLED information panels on the windows themselves, giving passengers route data or scenery overlays. So it's possible Chuo Shinkansen will include such a feature. Vendors and trolley amenities are also expected, though not yet confirmed. In general, the minimalist design appears to focus on almost cocooning passengers in a quiet and mellow space. Totally and remarkably different from the reality of what's happening outside the train. What would it feel like to travel 500 kilometers an hour on a train? In short, the answer might be not a whole lot different from traveling any other speed on a train. The only shock to the system will be how abruptly you arrive somewhere else on the other end of the country. And speaking of that country, how might traveling so comfortably and easily at such speed affect Japan as a whole?
People
In
might
terms
be
of
able to move back to
infrastructure, immediate
rural
impacts
areas.
will automatically be somewhat visible. As previously mentioned, most of the railway will be underground. Even many of the stations along the route will, in essence, be expansions to existing stations, facilitating frequent connections with other trains and transport in Japan's famously excellent public transportation system.
At
Chuo
Kite
Shinkansen
F7G
will
said you
appear
know why
almost
we can't have leg room? Because F us all. Arg. Merry Christmas smiley face with halo emoji.
This is the disgruntled stream tonight.
behind the scenes, a deep artery running below the visible surface of the country. However, that artery will likely facilitate various transformations that will be anything but invisible. Economic projections surrounding the project are impressive, to say the least. By collapsing travel times between 3 of the biggest metro areas in Japan, Chuo Shinkansen aims to combine the world's largest city, Tokyo, with Nagoya and Osaka to create a single massive labor and market basin. It's not unlike somehow turning New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago into a single sprawling city, easily traversed by all residents. As the government's ultra-low interest loans indicate, this has major implications for a country that already has the 3rd largest GDP in the world. One study estimates a positive economic impact that could be as high as 17 trillion yen in the first 50 years of operation. That's about 110.5 billion US dollars. A lot of money, no doubt. But surprisingly, when squared with its roughly $60 billion cost, and when compared against other large, developed world infrastructure projects, those returns are actually on the moderate side. The benefit to cost ratio is roughly 1.9 to 1. Compare that with, for example, the Three Gorges Dam in China, which has a 20 to 1 benefit to cost, and is expected to generate over $600 billion long term. But while this helps put Chuo Shinkansen in perspective, it's still one of the largest projects ever undertaken in Japan. And it won't just be societally transformative, it will also earn a permanent place in the history of transportation. 500 kilometers per hour is a landmark breakthrough, one that will have the rest of the world vying to catch up. It's a speed that, not so long ago,
Not
was
America.
science fiction. According to JR Central, tickets for Chuo Shinkansen will be comparable to the cost of tickets for the standard Tokaido Shinkansen line. In addition to the throngs of business people who will use the train to increase their professional success, countless others, perhaps from all corners of the globe, will go for a ride, just to be able to say they experienced the fastest train ever built. Who knows, perhaps you'll be one of them.
I fucking
Thank you for
wish.
watching. Please feel free to share your thoughts on Chuo Shinkansen in
And I guess with that, I leave you dreaming of a better world tonight. Oh boy. I wish that my holiday break was off to a better start than it is today. But you play the hands you're dealt, huh? It was a shitty day. It's going to continue to be shitty. But I'll do my best to keep positive, keep swinging. Always keep swinging, right? I don't think I'll be streaming until maybe Friday. So thank you for joining me tonight, everybody. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great Christmas. Hope you enjoy the time with friends or family or whatever it may be. And I hope I see you all back here again on Friday. If not, take care, and I will see you when I see you. Later, everybody.